I wanted to go over some camo basics in PUBG. Go over some of the ideas behind how you can make camouflage work for you. Um, so my default character came with a few options of t-shirt and a few options of pants and some basic boots and a black utility belt thing like this one right here. And so whatever camo that I had in-game would have had to have been something that I would pick up along the way. And I wasn't real happy with that. So I went onto the community market and I spent about $9 total to piece together something like an effective camouflage outfit. And this is what I came up with. So I got this camouflage cap. Most of these items were pretty inexpensive on the marketplace, so either that or there was something I was willing to spend a little money on. I mean, as in, you know, like a higher number of cents. I wasn't willing to spend lots of dollars on any item. So I bought this camo. I don't know if I can spin this guy around. I guess not. It'd be nice if there was an option to spin him around, and maybe there is, and I don't know about it. But so I bought this camo jacket or coat, and it's a little on the dark side, but it does have some stripes to it, and it's a little better than a solid colored piece of clothing. There is a little fur around the top to break up the human outline. So I started with that. Then I found the pants. The pants are a lighter color. That's good because we want something that isn't the same color as the coat. Because the idea is you don't want everything to look the same on your person, because the human silhouette is very recognizable to other humans, probably to many animals too. And we want to break that up with camouflage. Now, I don't know what this would look like at distance, whether the detail of the textures would be diminished so that you would wind up with something looking like a solid color for each piece of clothing. But even so, if that's the case, then having these items at different colors would still break up the human silhouette. So I'm not even sure if I need this utility bag. Anyway, so uniformity of color is an enemy of camouflage because nature is chaotic. Uniformity is kind of an artificial thing. Granted, you know, lots of trees in a forest look pretty much the same, but you're also going to have other kinds of trees in a forest, or bushes. Like a bush doesn't look like a tree, and you may have a variety of trees in the forest because nature is chaotic. You know, to have an orchard of trees, that's something that's artificial. You know, men planted those trees in orderly rows, and that's not something you see happening in nature for the most part. There may be exceptions that I don't know about. Now these pants, they come with these knee pads. Another thing that's an enemy of camouflage is symmetry, right? Like these two eyepieces on this gas mask. You can put a vertical line down the center, and one side looks pretty much like the other side. The human silhouette, one arm looks pretty much like another arm. You've got two legs here. You know, trees don't have two legs. They have a single trunk. So you see something running around that has two supporting pillars to it, it looks like a human. So symmetry is the enemy of camouflage, just like uniformity. Unfortunately, with the items that I picked that were camouflage, they are symmetrical. They're pretty much the same on both sides, so that's not great. There are some clothing items in PUBG that are not symmetrical. Usually they're trying to be fashionable, like maybe it's black on one side, white on the other. But as far as camouflage, I haven't seen anything like that in the community market. So moving down, there was an option for military boots that were black. Black is not a good color for camouflage because black does not occur that often in nature. Sometimes you'll see it because maybe there was a forest fire and you have lots of burnt tree stumps or something, or maybe there's some volcanic rock, but for the most part black does not occur in nature. You say, well, what about shadows? Shadows usually are not pure black. If they are, maybe it's nighttime, there's an artificial light source, so you have what appears to be a black shadow. But the thing is, if you're going to wear black, you had better be in that shadow, because as soon as you leave that shadow, or as soon as there's no light around, you will be easy to see, because say you're in a forest and there's very little light. Well, the black that you're wearing is going to absorb what little light there is, and you're going to look like a black hole walking through a very dimly lit forest. Because the trees are not black, the trees that don't reflect so much light during the daytime, but that do reflect some light, it's going to be the same at nighttime. They're not going to reflect a lot of light, but they're going to reflect some. A volcanic rock in the daytime, which doesn't reflect much light, isn't going to reflect much light at night either. And a person wearing black that does not reflect much light in the daytime is not going to reflect much light at night either. So if you contrast during the day, you're probably going to contrast against the background at night also. Black is not a good color. You know, ninjas may have worn black, but they were doing so because they didn't have camouflage at their disposal. If they were able to buy woodland camouflage or any number of even more effective patterns, like Pencott Green Zone is one of the most effective patterns, but for an entirely different camouflage philosophy than most camouflage patterns, because the way Pencott Green Zone works is just like in an area where you may have maybe not a whole lot of green bushes, but you may have a bush here and there. Well, wearing Pencott Green Zone, you can make yourself look like a bush or a clump of green grass occurring by chaotic nature. So then you look like you belong there because you look like a bush or you look like a clump of grass. And that's why Pencott Green Zone works so well. Other camouflage patterns attempt to blend in with their background. Green zone says, I don't need to necessarily blend in with my background because I look so much like a bush, I look like I belong there anyway. So it's almost like wearing a ghillie suit without all the fuzz. And you don't have to sweat to death wearing Pencott Green Zone. So, however, like most clothing that does not have 3D texture on it, and I don't mean a print that looks like it's 3D, but I mean like the ready-made hunting 3D flage, leaf flage type stuff where there's actually a layer of, it almost looks like military camouflage netting, so that the way the fabric is cut and has holes in it provides a 3D, an actual 3D effect or outline to it. Anyway, so getting back to this, I then went with these boots. I didn't want to use black because it's just too dark. The boots that I got by default weren't bad, but I liked these boots better because they're brown and they're a different color than the rest of the outfit. So at distance, hopefully it'll break up the human silhouette more. That's also why I bought this brown utility belt, because it breaks up the symmetry. It's on one side and not on the other, but it's also a different color. And it's not black. Why did I go with the gas mask? I was going to go with the other gas mask that's available, but that gas mask had a big filter sticking out the side, which was good for breaking up symmetry, but the color I think was not good. It might have been black, I forget. And this vintage gas mask has a better color to it, even though it's more symmetrical. So what was I going to do about the shirt underneath? Well, at first I wanted to go with this. See if I can go back, because this floral print shirt has it's using very nice colors, kind of like earth and tone colors as far as I can tell. I'm colorblind. And the pattern on it is very disruptive. So in that space between the camouflage on either side, it was nice to have a nice disruptive pattern in the middle. However, as you can see, my white neck shows very clearly, and I'm afraid that that would be a dead giveaway at distance. So instead I decided to opt for the long-sleeved black turtleneck, and only because I could not find a green one. I think there's a gray one available, but this seemed like the best option at the time. I thought about going with these shoes, but I don't know, they're kind of fruity looking. They're less obvious than the boots, but then the boots cover enough of those lower legs that it breaks up the human silhouette better. So the turtleneck covers up plenty of my neck, not all of it. There's a lower face mask or bandana that you can buy, but in the community marketplace those are usually pretty expensive, and you could couple that with some goggles maybe, and break up your human face, because the human face is very recognizable to the human mind, to the human eye. So you want something that doesn't look like a face here. Now they have like some cheaper masks, I think, like the skull, lower face skull mask, whatever. Uh, lots of people think those are so cool, like, ooh, look at me, I'm deaf. Well, if you're really deaf, you don't need a mask to convince people that you're deaf. So I've never been into those skull masks. They just look retarded. It's like some throwback to Cobra Kai back in the 80s. I don't think Cobra Kai even wears skull masks anymore. So that's what I came up with for under, or for about $9 total. Note that I did buy some items where I wanted to experiment with them and see how they worked out. Other items didn't work out so well. Now, so these patterns, they may not work so great on some maps, like maybe the desert map. Maybe these are too dark. The upper portion is too dark for the desert map. But it's the philosophy behind it is sound, and that is to break up the human silhouette so that I'm not recognizable as like one solid camouflage or one solid color. So hopefully this will make me harder to spot at distance and maybe even up close. Of course, as soon as you move laterally across, or even vertically across someone's field of view, you're going to get spotted. Camouflage works best when you're not moving. If you must move, you're best served by moving either directly towards or directly backwards away from the person who is observing you, because that will result in the least perceived movement. You may look like you're getting taller as you get closer, or you may look like you're getting smaller as you back away. But the change is going to be pretty gradual compared to the movement you would be doing if you were going up or down or side to side, perpendicular to your observer's line of sight. Okay, but on the snow map, would something like this work? Probably not very well, because it's just too dark against a white background. So I decided, well, okay, let's get some items for cheap that can make me look less obvious. So I need to get rid of the mask. Now my face is already white, so that's good. And then I believe I got this turtleneck, and I want to lose the camouflage coat. I guess I do that here. No. All. There's the coat. And I could lose the gloves because your hands are pretty white. There are some constable's gloves that are white, but they're pretty expensive, so I think, are they about $1? No, there's some sneakers that are about $1, but I didn't buy those because I don't really want to add any more money to my Steam wallet right now. So, and then I got these combat pants, which are kind of like an off-white. Maybe I could lose the belt. Does the belt actually do anything? Ooh. Okay, so this is bad. When you've got a line cutting through a solid color like this, that's not real good. And then if you add this utility belt, it gets chaotic and it breaks. When it cuts through the solid white, it does so in a sort of chaotic looking fashion. But these utility belts might be very recognizable to players at this point. So I don't know. And then I bought some, let's see, I thought I had some shoes, feet. Was it these gray ones? Ugh. Anyway, so these gray shoes were cheap, so that's a little better than, you know, a darker shoe. It's not too bad. So here's my white solution for the snow map. Of course, as you pick up, you know, backpacks and police vests, you're going to start breaking up your white silhouette, your white camouflage, and then you're going to be easier to see, but at least the rest of this won't lend itself to exposing your position. So that's what I would do for the snow map. How this will work in actual play, I'll have to see later. Meanwhile, I'm going to go back to my original outfit. And let's see, didn't I have a, yeah, no, yeah. And this, and camo pants somewhere. Here we go. And tactical gloves. And this. And I think that's it. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so this has been a little tutorial on the principles of camouflage, and hopefully something like this will give me a little bit of an advantage, a little bit of an edge that I didn't have before, because I'm at quite a bit of a disadvantage in PUBG. I don't know if it's my relative lack of experience in the game, or if it's my age from you know, and having slower reflexes, or maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know. But I haven't won any chicken dinners yet, and I'm kind of hungry for chicken. So hopefully this will make it more difficult for other players to spot me on the battlefield. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen anyone dressed like this in the lobby, but now that I've published this video, maybe more people will see the wisdom of camouflaging oneself in the game, and that might even the playing field again. But for right now, I'm going to take whatever tactical advantages I can get.